Good evening. Anwar Ibrahim's case has been placed on hold pending the disposal of his bid to get a full stay on the civil suit by Yusoff Rawther. The 39-year-old driver of a bus that was involved in an accident has apologized to the families of the victims and the students involved in the crash. The Subang PKR division has urged Subang MP Wong Chen to consider quitting. Stay tuned to find out why. The Court of Appeal has granted an ad interim stay on all proceedings in the civil suit filed by Yusoff Rawther against Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. This comes just days before the full trial was scheduled to begin. A panel of 3 judges agreed to put the civil suit on hold pending the disposal of the Prime Minister's bid to get a full stay. That application will be heard on July 21st. Presiding Judge Supang Lian said the panel acted under Section 44 of the Courts of Judicature Act in order to preserve the integrity of the stay bid itself. The stay puts everything on hold, including the planned trial start date on Monday, June 16th, until the court rules on Anwar's full application. It was reported that Anwar had filed 2 separate bids to pause the case as he is appealing against the decision at the High Court last week, where his bid to suspend the lawsuit and refer 8 constitutional questions to the federal court was denied. Meanwhile, during proceedings today, Anwar's lawyer Alan Wong Tek Wei said that his client's appeal will be nugatory if the lawsuit goes to trial pending its disposal, pointing to Yusoff's claims in the lawsuit, which Wong said is for monetary compensation for damages. The lawyer argued that there is no harm to Yusoff if the case is postponed to a later date. Yusoff's lawyer, Rafiq Rashid, pushed back, saying the trial dates were locked in a year ago. He argued there is no reason, legal or procedural, for any further delay, and allowing a stay at this late juncture, interim or otherwise, would disrupt the court's schedule and prejudice the respondent's right to timely justice. While we are on the topic of the case, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is once again going after Anwar over his move to seek immunity in the civil suit. In a post on X, Mahathir continued to cast doubt on Anwar's innocence and insisted that true vindication can only come through the courts. He also explored the broader implications of the immunity topic, saying that if it is given for one case, it could be applied to other cases too. He said this could mean that the Prime Minister can kill someone and it would be okay. Mahathir also claimed that in Malaysia, the implementation of the law is selective. He said the sentence is not carried out for a person who has already been found guilty by the High Court, supposedly because they are waiting for the outcome of an appeal. Meanwhile, he claimed that for others, even before they are tried in court, just during the investigation, they are detained for months, their property is seized, and their families are pressured. He said it is clear that although subject to the same law, the enforcement is not equal. Last week, Anwar Ibrahim insisted that his bid to suspend the suit against him was never about seeking personal immunity from litigation. He said it concerns the integrity of our constitutional system and the need to ensure that high public office is protected from litigation that may be strategically timed, politically motivated, or institutionally disruptive. Police have confirmed the driver in a deadly bus crash that killed 15 UPSI students had racked up 18 summonses, mostly for speeding. Bukit Aman's traffic chief Yusri Hassan Basri said 13 of the driver's summonses were for speeding. 3 more were for not wearing a seat belt. The others were for an earlier accident and a faulty brake light. None of the 18 have been settled yet. The bus itself had 21 traffic summonses on record. Yusri was quoted as saying by Harian Metro that of these, 16 have resulted in convictions, while the remaining 5 are still under investigation. Meanwhile, the 39-year-old driver involved in the accident has apologized to the families of the victims and the students involved in the crash. According to Berita Harian, the driver blamed the incident on a sudden brake failure. He also reportedly said that the bus's air system also failed while its handbrake was unresponsive. He said that he wasn't speeding, especially since they were going downhill and he was trying to avoid crashing into other cars. He added that he did all he could to prevent the worst. The driver was quoted as saying that in all his years of driving, this is the first accident he had that involved fatalities, and he feels an overwhelming sense of guilt. Meanwhile, it was reported that the police will apply for a remand order against the driver once he is discharged from hospital. Yesterday, the police announced that a special task force would be formed to investigate the tragic incident. A three-time PKR MP is being told to consider quitting right after he complained about lack of reforms. Subang MP Wong Chen is under fire from his own party division. The local PKR chapter said they've lost confidence in him. This came following Wong's remarks on Facebook on Sunday, where he announced a 2-week holiday in France. Wong also said he will be reflecting on his political future and spoke out on the Madani government's reform efforts. In response, Subang PKR Deputy Chief Wan Hasifi Amin said it was unbecoming for an MP who won 3 times on a PKR ticket to say such things at a time when the country is undergoing a reform process. Wan Hasifi said as the party machinery at the grassroots level, the Subang PKR division would like to express their disappointment and loss of confidence in Wong. They claim that this is as he has never attended any of the division meetings since the 2022 PKR election. He said that to this day, no committee has been set up for Pakatan Harapan in Subang when there should have been one to serve as a platform for cooperation between Harapan component parties at the constituency level. He added that the PKR division no longer wants to be sidelined and hopes to have an MP who is willing to work together with them. He said if Wong no longer feels that he is aligned to this struggle, then he needs to make a clear and principled decision by stepping down with honor. Malaysia Kini has reached out to Wong for a response. Back to the topic of Anwar's case, Zaid Ibrahim has called for contempt charges against those attacking a judge over Anwar's previous failed court bid. In a post on X, he hit out against the online attacks on High Court Judge Rose Mawar Rozain. He asked, shouldn't the Attorney General do the right thing by initiating contempt proceedings against the thugs or agency behind the attack on the judge? He also asked whether the MCMC should also pull down the libelous material from the internet. The former law minister suggested that the ruling had provoked a backlash among Anwar's supporters. He said the attacks may serve to pressure or intimidate the bench before the full hearing, especially if the public is primed to view an adverse decision against the Prime Minister as unjust or politically motivated. He stressed that legal arguments belong in court, not TikTok, not Facebook, and definitely not press statements. Zaid said respect for the judicial process demands that parties allow the matter to be ventilated in full before the judges with facts and law, not spin and distortion. He added that judicial independence is not just about resisting direct interference, but also depends on public maturity in accepting that courts decide on law and facts, not political loyalty. Anwar had previously sought to refer 8 constitutional questions to the federal court, centered on whether he enjoyed immunity from civil proceedings. This was linked to the case against him by Yusoff Rawther. However, on June 4th, Rose Mawar ruled that the questions failed to meet the required threshold, and the trial is scheduled to proceed on June 16th. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. If they spit, we will hit. This was the statement from US President Donald Trump in response to the ongoing immigration protests in Los Angeles. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump said that protesters have a tendency to spit in the face of the National Guards and others. He said these patriots were previously told to accept this. However, he said that it would not be accepted under his administration. Trump stressed that such disrespect will not be tolerated and warned that if protesters spit, they will be hit harder than they have ever been hit before. Earlier, Trump had deployed an additional 2,000 National Guard troops to LA. This was following continued confrontations between immigration officers and demonstrators. It was also reported that 700 active duty Marines would be deployed to support the National Guard operations. California Governor Gavin Newsom had said that his administration would file a lawsuit against Trump to stop their deployment. He claimed the Secretary of Defense is illegally deploying them onto American streets so Trump can have a talking point at his parade this weekend, and it is a blatant abuse of power. Bernama reported that the protests erupted last Friday after Immigration and Customs enforcement agents raided several local businesses and detained hundreds of individuals suspected of residing in the country without documentation. The Trump administration has said the Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) operations will continue as part of its broader crackdown on illegal immigration. Yesterday, a DAP lawmaker had suggested that the National Service offer real benefits to participants, such as certificates, scholarships, or job opportunities to appeal to the youth. This came following a report that 37% of National Service 3.0 trainees did not show up for duty in the May-June session, with health issues and job commitments cited as reasons for absenteeism. We asked our viewers whether they thought incentives would help make the National Service program more appealing for today's youth. Let's take a look at the results. Out of around 2,000 people that voted, 37% thought that incentives could help appeal to the youths. A majority at 45% didn't think it would have an effect and stressed that it should remain voluntary or be scrapped altogether. Meanwhile, 14% said it could help, but core issues surrounding the program need to be tackled first. Among issues that were brought up by voters was the cost of the program on the nation as well as who really benefits from it. One voter also stressed that participants shouldn't be pampered. The voter pointed out that the government is already spending money on the program and questioned why they would add on to the expenses with benefits. What are your thoughts on this? Share your views in the comment section below. Next, let's take a look at some of the other headlines from today. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.